Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joanna Thielen, and I'm one of the engineering librarians. My pronouns are she, her. Today, I am pleased to introduce our speaker today, Sam Hansen, who is the math and stats librarian. And they will be talking to us about take command of your dissertation with LaTeX. Please know that we are recording this session and we will be distributing the recording to anyone who has registered for the workshop later this week. So just a quick overview, since we're in Zoom today, please use the chat for questions or comments throughout. Myself and my colleagues, Paul Grohusky and Jamie Niehoff, are here and we are monitoring the chat. And we will interrupt Sam as needed if you put questions or comments in there. We want to make sure that you get the most out of this as possible. So we really encourage your questions. And that leads into the big blue bubble on the right side. There are no stupid, silly, or too basic questions about the library or LaTeX. We are here to help you succeed, so please ask questions. Please keep your mics muted. We will have a Q&A portion at the end of this workshop, and feel free to unmute during that portion. The closed captions are available. Pardon me, I need to turn those on. Yes, now the closed captions and the transcript are available. Sorry for not starting that earlier. And
sorry, that was me. My thumb slipped at the wrong time.
Okay, that's all right, Sam. And this is being recorded and it will be shared. So I just want to go over a few library resources before I hand it over to Sam to talk about LaTeX. The first thing I want you to know is that there is a librarian for your department, and every department across has a librarian. My colleagues will be putting some things in the chat today, including some of the links that I have on this slide. So these are the 4 librarians for the College of Engineering: Lena, Paul, Jamie, and myself. And we work with these departments listed here. Don't worry if this looks like acronym soup. We know there's lots of acronyms in the university as well as the College of Engineering. We just want to let you know who your librarian is and how you can contact them via email. For those of you not in the College of Engineering, we will put a link in the chat to how you can find the librarian for your department, and they are happy to help with any questions you may have. I also just want to highlight one thing we have for each and every discipline. These are called the library's research guides. And again, some of these links will be in the chat. And these are kind of like a best bets or top hits type guide of the library's resources for particular topics or disciplines. So for example, I've created this guide for mechanical engineering, which is one of the departments that I work with. And this kind of guides researchers in this area through how they would find different types of information. So how do you find articles and conference proceedings versus books or standards? And finally, many of the librarians offer appointments. So you can set up an appointment automatically with a librarian using this online scheduling system. So basically you just select which area you're interested in, use the calendar and time function to select a time that works for you, and you'll be able to set up an appointment with a librarian. And this consultations are mostly virtual, so you'll be meeting over Zoom, and you can get some tailored and individualized help for your research questions. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Sam.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Hansen. I am the Mathematics and Statistics librarian. I'm one of those librarians that was just mentioned that you could find. I also happen to be the library's LaTeX. I don't want to say expert because it's going a little bit too far in my knowledge of LaTeX, but probably the person who has the most background in it, since I was a mathematician at one point in my life. So I've had to use it as a part of jobs of mine. And today what we're going to do is we are going to talk a little bit about how you can get your dissertation done in LaTeX. And first, just a couple of quick pronunciation things. LaTeX, 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 all are fine. The one key thing to remember is that that is a hard X sound, X as in Chi, and not X as in X-ray. That's very important to remember, because the one way you don't really want to talk about it is LaTeX, and also be really careful when you say search Google for LaTeX things, because if you don't include some sort of context, the results can be not what you are looking for. But what I want to start today with is just looking at the outline. So I just shared a link in the chat to the outline, and I will bring up the outline itself here quickly. And so this is the outline that includes all the links that we are going to use today. And so I will be going through everything that is on here. Starting off with that first one, and a little bit of talk about the dissertation guidelines. So the dissertation guidelines are put together by Rackham. And so as you're studying these, as you're studying here at University of Michigan, these could technically change. They don't change very much. And so these are the basic ones. We're not really going to talk in depth about them, but just know that these are here for you to check against. And you can also see the dissertation handbook. And so this is essentially a PDF version of everything that's on the dissertation and what it should look like mostly. There are a couple things that are on here. Oh, no, it looks like they did update them. So you have your title page, you have your author information, including an ORCID, if you have one, your dedication, and then scroll down. This is what it in general should look like. And so it's just retelling everything that's on that guidelines page that we were on before, but in the format it would be in a dissertation. Now, right up here at the top, it says, visit the University of Michigan Library Research Guide for help with formatting. The thing is that is just for Microsoft Word. So there is a Microsoft Word dissertation template that exists that is supported through Scholarspace, which is on the second floor of the Hatcher Library on Central Campus. And so there are people who can support you with that. Now, there is not an official LaTeX. There's not an official LaTeX template, but there is now an officially unofficial LaTeX template, which is hosted on GitHub. Now, this was fully used by multiple people now to pass their dissertation. So this template works to the existing guidelines for Rackham. Now, that does not mean that you might need to use, this doesn't mean that you might not need to use a LaTeX package that you might need to play around with a little bit more to get to work correctly. Like, that is always a possibility with something like LaTeX. But this will work in general in most cases. And I am now one of the contributors to this repo, so that in the future, if Rackham does make changes, I will do my best to make sure that this template stays updated. So there's a lot of templates floating around on campus, a lot of LaTeX templates. This is the most current, and as far as I know, the most correct of all of them, which is why this is the one that I am now telling people to use. So the question, of course, is how do I go from just this GitHub repo to actually implementing this? And so thankfully in the README, they do mention a few different ways. And in general, the idea is using Overleaf. Now, and that's what I'm going to do today. If you prefer a different editor than Overleaf, Overleaf being a LaTeX editor that is browser-based, that it's essentially the Google Docs version of LaTeX. And that's what I'm going to use today. If you don't want to use Overleaf, you can, of course, use all of these files on any editor that you use on your computer. When I don't do browser-based editing, I use Atom and a few Atom packages. And that still will work with all of these. But right here, they actually have a link to the Overleaf template, which is a University of Michigan dissertation template, unofficial. And you can open that directly as a template. So if you are logged in, and I am currently, so this is me logged into Overleaf. If you are currently logged into Overleaf, you will just be able to hit open as a template. If you're not, you will have to log in. If you don't have an account, you will have to create an account. Before we actually hit that open template, there is one other thing that I have here that I want to highlight, and this is pro accounts. So University of Michigan does not provide pro accounts for everyone. But if you are a grad student who is employed by the university, you can request a pro account. Right now, there is a chance that we are at the maximum number of pro accounts that ITS can disperse. I would still suggest requesting one because they may have purchased new ones, or it is just more proof that we do need an institutional license for Overleaf. So I cannot guarantee that this will work for you, and I'm really sorry about that. I really wish that it would. But if we don't register our need for more, then we won't get more. That's we have been trying to get an institutional license for a while, but we haven't seen any movement on it. So you can request directly through this site. Just send ITS an email, say that you are employed through the university, through however you are employed, and that you would like to request an Overleaf Pro account because it is needed for your work, which is true. So going back to this, if I just click open as template, it will bring together here. And Overleaf does have two sides. I'm going to collapse one of the sides soon so you can see better. But you will see that on this left-hand side, I'm just going to go through this quickly, just sort of scroll through, that it does have everything that that guidebook has. And so now I'm just going to close that because I want to walk through the dissertation template itself and discuss a little bit about what you can put in and how that will affect things. And please, if I'm going too fast, if there's things that I'm skipping over, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I am more than happy to be interrupted to make my presentation more understandable for everyone. So right here, we can see this template, and you can see on the sides, there's multiple folders. There's 3 folders. There the appendices folder, a chapter folder, a front materials folder, and then there are a few different files. So the contributing and the readme.md, so those are markdown files. Those are just GitHub files. You can get rid of those. That is not, those are not necessary for this. Then you have your references files, and that is the bibtech file. Bibtech being how you keep track of the metadata for your references in LaTeX. There's a packages.txt file, which I'm going to open up. And this is where you can put packages that you want to require for your work. These are commented out right now, except for the use of blind text, which is just how they got the lorem ipsum into that dissertation. And so I'm going to uncomment some of these that I would know that I would want. And so actually, I don't think I would need the margin one. So AMS Math, AMS Fonts, AMS Sim, and GraphicX. The AMS ones are all where you can essentially, get the formatting to do math equations. AMS Sim, AMS Fonts, AMS Math, like that is where you get things like integral symbols and other things like that. Those aren't just built into LaTeX. Now, we can go back to the main.tech file, and you can see here it asks to input packages. Instead of declaring use packages there, you would declare them in that packages file. So everything here in this template is very modular, and it's trying to keep it so that you don't end up with a 300-page plain text file that you then have to go searching through. So this is a way to sort of modularize it and make it a lot easier to edit over time. And so that's where our packages go. The document class is defined right here, thesis UMISH, and then some comments about everything that's going on. And so here we have some commands, and then we get into the front matter that we care about a lot here, and that is dissertation title. So I'm just going to put in sample thesis here because dissertation takes a long time to type. You can put in your name, department. So I am at the library, so I'm just going to say my department's the library. It's 2002, so we can change that. Put in my email address here. I'm just going to leave that as the plain ORCID ID because I don't need to change that. And so now we have that front piece, and that was that big M. So you can put a front piece in if you would like, or you can comment it out if you do not want it there. And so then we start to include other things like the front page style. So it can be set individually for each front page, but 7 is the preferred style. And so you can see here, you can set them individually. And so this is the dedication page, acknowledgements page, preface. You can set the names for your committee here, the chair of your committee, and then there's some other aspects that go in. And then where is that? And then so you can put your abstract acronyms, and then we get finally to this. And so begin/document. This is what it needs to be in every single LaTeX document in order for a document to actually exist. This is how you're telling LaTeX that this is, after this is what I want printed out. And so LaTeX it's best to think of it as a scripting language for typesetting. That's really what LaTeX is, and what TeX always was, since it was developed by Donald Knuth in order to write his Art of Computer Programming books. I mean, that is why TeX exists. And so LaTeX just sort of built up around TeX. And so everything up here, those are all essentially like your declarations from a program. Like this is where you're declaring your variables, you're declaring your libraries that you want to use. And then after that, this is the actual content. And in this case, we actually just do input and then the name of a chapter. So we're not actually writing anything in this main part. And that is, once again, to keep this modular, to keep everything a lot easier to edit. So here you put input, chapters, example chapter, input, chapters, example chapter. And then if you have appendices, you want to say start, and so you do /appendix to make it start the appendix. And then you do /bibliography to start your bibliography. So when you do all of this, and all of these things are automatically put in. So I'm going to do Command or Control S so that this will update, and I'm going to slide this edit part over so that this is all bigger. And you can see already the title of the thesis has changed. My name is now there. I'm going for Doctor of Philosophy in Library 2022. The chair is there. You can see that once I commented out that front image, that image is gone. If I want it back, I just remove that comment. And you can see my name here. The copyright declaration is correct. And then we have the other parts that we have not changed yet. So now, before I go into how to actually change all of those parts, we have to talk about this. So the thesis-umish.cls. This is what's known as the class file. And this is really where all of the work of the formatting is really happening. So this is where everything is declared. And just to let you know how long things have existed, this class file was initially started in January of 1988. I'm willing to bet that this class file is actually older than a decent number of people who are in this room, which every time I see that, I am still surprised. And 88, 89, 92, 2008, 2011, 2021. And I guarantee that there were people who did not put comments about what they changed in here that sort of made it through. So this has been just constantly being edited now for 34 years, which is really quite impressive. And so if we go down, we can see various things. There's declarations to stop it from using an old version of LaTeX, because again, this has been around since 1988. And then there's a bunch of different options. And so these are essentially trying to create those different classes for what type of document this is. This is where it's actually defining the class, because otherwise LaTeX would hiccup right away at that first line, because thesis UMISH is not an official LaTeX recognized class. We have to declare it ourselves. And then for different sections, we do some different valuing. But so I will fully admit that there are things in here that I don't understand. Thankfully, LaTeX has been around for a long time, late 60s, early 70s. And it is used primarily by people in STEM fields. People in STEM fields also were very early and very constant adapters of the internet and the World Wide Web. So there are decades of answers online to pretty much every single LaTeX problem that exists. There's an entire part of Stack Overflow that is just LaTeX problems. And so if you have a problem, I can almost always guarantee that someone else will have had that problem and will have already asked other people how to solve it. And that there's going to be an entire trail of everything that they have tried with eventually the solution. And sometimes with multiple solutions, because LaTeX can be fussy. And so what worked for one person might not work for you. So sometimes you have to find like the third or fourth answer down in the Stack Overflow. But we continue to declare layout and things like that here. We get down, we actually will like start going really deep into these specific formatting issues. And so if you ever run into formatting issues, it's this class file that you need to go to. It can be hard, but thankfully it's really well commented. So you can at least usually figure out where the problem is. How to solve it might be but it might be harder to figure out, but where the problem is really important to figure out. And so there's things like this. And this is also like this new command section on the prologue page. This is where if you need a new command, you could put it. Or if it's not something that you need accessible everywhere, you can, again, make new commands. You can renew commands in that main.txt section too. Now, it is worth noting, as I mentioned, this is essentially a scripting language, and it is actually Turing complete. You can actually program using LaTeX. Please don't. It is not an efficient way to program. It's a very, very inefficient way to program. But it is Turing complete, so like there can be some ripple effects, but in general, as long as you follow best practices, you can get away with pretty much what you need to get away with. So now let's go into these folders. So front materials, you have your abstract, acknowledgements, dedication, front piece, that was that image, preface. So if we go into the dedication, you can see it says blind text 5. That's again how they pull in lorem ipsum. So I'm just gonna put in some random text in these files so that we can see how they will automatically get pulled in. So again, I'm just gonna acknowledge ASDF a lot. Same for abstract, and then for our preface too. And so now if I go back and I hit recompile, we can see that all of that just changes. So all I had to do was change what's in those files. I had to change nothing in the main section, because main is just calling those files in. And so the dedication has changed, acknowledgements has changed, preface has changed. And again, like the table of contents automatically fills up. So if you have a list of programs, here's your list of programs. And these are all linked. This does the proper linking and everything else. These will link to the other parts of your document. Acknowledgement, preface, all of the lists that you might need are here. If you say don't need list of programs, what you would do is you'd go back to main and then just comment out. And I say comment out specifically because you really don't want to lose these. So just commenting out instead of deleting works. If I comment that out and now recompile again, we should see list of programs drop off. List of programs is dropped off and the numbering works. So this table of contents is dynamically generated with the parts from your actual files. So all of this is generated for you. And again, the list of figures. So by putting a figure, so there's the example figure right here, 1.3. You can see it. Here's this image. I just clicked on that link. Then we can scroll back up. That list of figure is automatically there. And it automatically links to that thanks to some coding in the background. So if we go to that first chapter, so example chapter 0 or example chapter 01, you can see there are actually, the way this has been written makes it so you can actually see the LaTeX commands that you would use, or at least some of them. There's other parts such as how to do math. So we can put in, this is an equation. And so you can actually do inline math by just doing dollar signs. So if we want to do a fraction, which is slash frac, so these are slash codes. That's something that AMS Math and LaTeX has built in. We can see that. You can also see parts here. I'm going to get rid of these blind text sections, so it's going to be a little bit easier for us to see them. But you can see here how to put in the figure. So it's slash begin figure. If you want to center, you include the graphics. So that's where you would actually link to the graphic itself. Caption, label, end figure. And so here is, though, how you actually get it referenced in everything. So whenever you want something to show up in your table of contents, whenever you want things to be able to be referenced, you do slash ref. And then you put in the name of what you want. That means when you declare your figure, you would put slash label and then the name that you want, and then you can reference it. Same thing with table. So here you have a section, which example tables, and you have a section, which example section. And so every time you make a label, you're able to reference. So if I wanted to reference down here, I could reference the section. I could reference section 1 down here. And if I did that, that's going to put the name of the section in. So all of this is nicely built in. So I'm going to once again recompile. And so here we have checkout figure 1.1. And so that is that reference. You can make a table as follows. See, we have different references. There's our fraction. And so one other thing you may have noticed in the table of contents that there was some hierarchy, and that is done by doing these sections. So each section will be something like 1.1. So example section, section 1.1. So it will continue to number from your chapter. So you have 1.1, 1.2. You can also do subsections. And we just do an example subsection. And even then, you can also do subsections. And you can differentiate how you do it. If you want number, letter, number, you can do that. There are ways that you can find on the internet that will show you how to do that. And if I scroll back up here, see we have example table, we have an example subsection. And so here is our example subsection, and there is our example subsection underneath it. Now you will see that that subsection did not actually make it to the limit, to the table of contents. So it will only show you section and then subsection. You could change that, but that's to make it so you can put in subsections without having the world's longest table of contents. So that is how you handle chapters. Appendices are done in exactly the same way. You just create a new chapter. Oh, I should have mentioned that at the top. You do chapter and then you put the title of your chapter in there. So for the second one, the chapter was conclusion, and you just make new files that essentially follow this format. If you just remove the blind text, that is what the format should look like. And so that's how you do it. You would do the same thing for appendices. And so if I want to add a new file, chapter 2, if I create that there and I do /chapter 2 label chapter 2. And then if I go back into our main section here, we will see that I can input a new chapter. And so I just did chapter 2. I can then recompile again. And once it has recompiled, you should see chapter 2. It is just right there for me. And so the reason it says chapter 2 twice is it will always say chapter 2, and then it has the title that I put in it as well. So that's the basics of how to run this, minus one thing, and that's references. So referencing in LaTeX is different from what you do in a lot of other places. So I want to show us what a bib file looks like. So this is a bib file. You can see that there are different types. So PhD thesis, article, a proceeding, a miscellaneous. Each one of them also has this. That is known as the key. Cite is a cite key. And then after that, we have metadata. So we have title, author, school year, title, author, journal, volume, number, pages, year, publisher, and similar things to that. So when you when you do your dissertation, you're going to want to be keeping track of what your files are. And I'm going to show you a potential way. I will show you how I do that. And it's really nice. It works quite nice with LaTeX. One other way is to just always grab it and put it in the files. So I have a link to MathSciNet, which is one place where you can definitely grab it. You can also grab bib files off of our library, out of our library. So if I just click on here, I just go down, click BibTech. A lot of databases will have something like this. And so all I would do is copy that and drop it into the bib file. I'm going to change it to SAM paper. This is the one math paper that I wrote. And so then if I want to cite it, I can go into chapter 2 and just do this is a citation. And then it's /cite. And then you put in the cite key. And that is all that you do. That is truly all that you do. I'm actually going to comment this out for a second, so I can show you something. Something at least that I personally find to be quite powerful. So if I scroll down to chapter 2 here, this is a citation. I clearly commented it out. And so let's now look at the bibliography. So if you remember, I put this in the bib file, but it's not yet cited. But if you look at this bibliography, the paper that I put in the bib file doesn't show up. That's because LaTeX will only put things in the bibliography if it's actually cited in the work. You can overrule this behavior, but that is the default behavior. So now if I uncomment that and recompile one more time, depending on where this recompiles us to, you should see that that paper is now in here. It's number 4. And if I scroll up to chapter 2, you will see this is a citation and then the brackets for. Now you can change the formatting style. You do that back in the main.tech document. And down here, you see bibliography style. So if I change that to APA instead, I think that that is the correct short for APA. We will see in a second. I might just break this on recompiling. And I did. APA is not a format style. I know that IEEE is, so let's see. This is why coding. This is how you find out new things. And so if we want, where are we? So we have bibliography words, bibliography style, citation style. Okay. I will just grab one of these, author title IBID. So if I drop that in, should recompile to a different citation format. And you should see here in chapter 2, this is a citation. Oh, it still does not like that. Oh, that's why. I had a bit of white space at the end. And it still is not. I'm very sorry for all of these mistakes. I'm going to try one more time. So it is not pulling in any of these. I'm not entirely sure why this is not working for Overleaf. And again, I am sorry, but we can see if IEEE will compile. If not, I will go back to plain. And it is not. Okay, I'm just going to go back to plain so that we don't have that error any longer. Actually, next, now that I've talked about all this, I want to talk to you a little bit about Zotero. There are other citation managers. I know that College of Engineering tends to use a lot of Mendeley. I'm going to just walk through some of this with Zotero because it's the one that I know the best. And also it is the one that has this plugin called Better BibTeX for Zotero. And this really can speed up your how you do citations using BibTeX. So I'm gonna stop sharing here for a second and go to Zotero. And don't worry too much about reading. I'm gonna have to describe it because there's no way to zoom in on this in Zotero. So if we go to Zotero here, I have all of my libraries on the side. And if I right click on one of those libraries, I can hit export collection. And if I hit export collection, there's a drop-down menu, and BibTeX is always there. So BibTeX is always a choice. So if you just keep all of your citations in Zotero, you can always just generate a BibTeX when you're done. But Better BibTeX, if you install that package, it allows you to hit this little checkbox, which is keep updated. Now, if you export using the keep updated function, so I'm just going to hit OK, it's going to ask me to save that somewhere. So I'm going to save it quickly in a place. Now, if I go and you can see there's what, seven citations in here right now. I'm just going to randomly click on one so that we just add something. So I'm just adding that Better BibTeX for Zotero into that file. And now if I go and look at the that bibtech file itself, which I'm gonna pull up, and then I will change the screen to it in a second. I just need to remember. Oh, I believe I remember where it is now. I'm just going to open it in a plain text editor here and change screens. I am again very sorry. I cannot seem to find. There it is. You will see that even though I did not export anything again. Oh, this is the wrong one. Sorry, all I'm getting are just these small mistakes after small mistakes, and I'm very apologetic to everyone. I am opening up the corrects file this time. And of course, it is taking a long time. Okay, so now we are here, and I will make this larger so we can actually see it. You will see that Better BibTech that I just added is automatically in here. So with Better BibTech and Zotero, it will automatically update your bib files, and then you can put those into Overleaf by just uploading them. So if I go back to Overleaf here, the way to do that is, so you have references.bib. If you just hit this upload button, you can upload a file directly to it from your computer. You just drag and drop it. So those are the things that I wanted to talk about taking command of your dissertation. And now I would love to open the floor up to some questions.